Her open marriage proposal backfired. My surprising response left her stunned. Hey there, fellow drama enthusiasts. Let me ask you something. Have you ever had someone suggest something so outrageous that it completely derailed your life? Well, buckle up, because I'm about to tell you how my wife's brilliant idea to spice up our marriage turned into a complete disaster. I'm Rob, and this is the story of how my wife Andrea decided that having one husband wasn't quite enough for her Instagram-perfect life. Trust me, what happened next is wilder than your aunt's Facebook relationship status. Well, let me tell you, it was nothing short of a hilarious disaster. I mean, who needs a therapist when you've got a wife who wants to turn your marriage into some sort of freaky open relationship? I was at the kitchen table, sipping on my morning coffee, when she waltzes in and starts spouting off about how she's been having these feelings and wants to explore the idea of bringing home some unforeseen company. Her words, not mine. I was still trying to wrap my head around the fact that I was about to be a multi-partnered husband. Yeah, that's a real thing, right? I mean, who needs commitment when you can have a harem? But seriously, wife, honey, we've been married for 10 years. We've been through ups and downs, breakups and makeups. Okay, maybe not makeups, but I'm trying to be optimistic. And now you want to throw a wild party with our friends' spouses? What's next? Are we going to start charging admission? Selling booze in the backyard? I mean, our neighbor's kid's birthday party gets more excitement than this open relationship business. She actually had the nerve to tell me that I was being close-minded and that I needed to let go of my fears to experience true love. I was like, babe, I love you, and I'm willing to experiment with some new recipes, marital kind, of course. But open relationships are like giving your sweet tooth a shot of insulin. Trust me, it's going to be a bad idea in the long run. And then the kicker. She suggested that we have a trial weekend to see if this open relationship thing was for us. Like, we're going to flip a switch, and suddenly, our entire relationship gets rewritten. Wife is code for co-conspirator in this hastily crafted matchmaking scheme, if you ask me. Needless to say, I politely expressed my concerns, mainly implying that we're still in the process of paying off the mortgage of matrimony. She didn't take the hint, so I did what any self-respecting husband would do in this situation. I vetoed the whole idea. Yeah, it didn't exactly go over well. Guess that's when the argument of the century began. You know, the one where I ended up standing at the kitchen sink, wearing an apron, scrubbing garlic stains off of a casserole dish, ironically the key dish in our marriage, while she was giving me the silent treatment outside. The great stain of 2022, it shall be remembered in marriage therapy annals. It's been a wild ride ever since. But hey, who needs consistency when you can have unpredictability, right? Before we dive into this relationship catastrophe, let me paint you a picture of what we had. Andrea and I were that couple everyone loved to hate on social media. You know the type, matching his and hers BMW posts, fancy vacation photos from Bali, and those annoying blessed captions on every single picture. For 10 years, we were living what looked like the perfect life. Our house was straight out of Architectural Digest, we had successful careers, and our weekend brunches were more photographed than a Kardashian wedding. But apparently, all of this wasn't enough for Andrea. She was feeling unfulfilled. Her words, not mine. Looking back, I should have seen the red flags when she started following those live your best life coaches on Instagram. I'll never forget the day my wife walked into the living room, a sly grin spreading across her face like a serial killer preparing for his next heist. She dropped a small, velvet-covered box onto the coffee table, and I knew instantly what it meant. She was proposing something that would either change our relationship forever or send me running for the hills with my sanity intact. We'd been married for 5 years, and our relationship had been cruising along smoothly, like a well-oiled machine that never needed servicing. Spoiler alert, it did. We'd been together since college, and our love had been the stuff of fairy tales. The meet-cute at the cafeteria, the long, romantic walks on campus, the whirlwind romance that swept us off our feet. Fast forward to 5 years later, and we'd settled into a comfortable routine, complete with a mortgage, 2 cats, and a Netflix subscription. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I loved my wife dearly, but I was starting to feel a little stifled. The romance had fizzled out, and what was left was a comfortable, yet vanilla-flavored, relationship that left me wondering if I was just a glorified roommate with a better insurance plan. My wife, however, seemed content with our arrangements, often complaining about the lack of excitement in our relationship, but not exactly going out of her way to change it either. So, on that fateful day, as she dropped the box onto the coffee table, I wondered what kind of crazy, unhinged thing she'd come up with this time. Was she proposing a spontaneous road trip to Las Vegas, where we'd get married by an Elvis impersonator and party like it was 1999? Or maybe she wanted to start a family, and we'd be trading in our peaceful coffee dates for sleepless nights and diaper blowouts? Little did I know, it was going to be something far more sinister. Or at least, something that would make my therapist's eyes roll so hard they'd get stuck that way. I still remember the fateful day my wife, Andrea, walked into our living room with a self-satisfied grin plastered on her face. She looked like Pelé had just scored a hat trick in the World Cup. I knew something was up, but I had no idea it would forever change the dynamics of our marriage. Andrea sat down beside me, her bright blue eyes sparkling with excitement. "Honey, I have something to talk to you about," she said, pausing for dramatic effect. I'm no shrinking violet, but the way she was draping herself across the couch, looking like a Bond girl in a sizzling red dress, had me intrigued. I asked her what was on her mind, wondering if she'd finally decided to surprise me with tickets to WrestleMania. Instead, she dropped the katana knife. "I've been thinking, and we should try an open relationship," she announced, as if she'd just confided in her BFF about a new juicer. Now, I've seen some dramatic reveals in my time, but this one took the cake, or should I say, the wedding cake. I felt like a punch-drunk boxer who'd just taken a Mike Tyson uppercut. My mind reeled as I struggled to come up with a witty response. Sorry_honey, I think you missed the part where it says couples on our marriage certificate," I quipped, trying to lighten the mood. But Andrea just chuckled and patted me on the hand, like I was a naughty puppy who'd just soiled his diapers. She went on to explain that we didn't have to give up on each other, but could instead focus on exploring our desires that were apparently hankering for a Foster's lager-filled bachelor pads. I stared blankly, bewildered, as she detailed the intricacies of her plan, replete with Freudian slips and an unhealthy obsession with 50 Shades of Grey. My mind was a cacophonous mix of shock, protest, and sheer bewilderment. Andrea thought we could just flip a bipolar switch, and suddenly, everything would be okay? Newsflash, sweetheart. That *** movie marathon where you drool over a sex goddess wasn't a relationship plan. Without warning, the calm and collected husband persona transformed into Ragnar Lothbrok from Vikings. My hair an unruly Medusa-like mess, eyes blazing with an anger that could vaporize a mountain. "Listen, Andrea, this isn't some fantasy novel, it's real life," I barked, no longer holding back. That's when Andrea drops the bomb. "Honey, I think we should try an open marriage," she says, as casually as if she's asking me to pass the salt. I nearly choked on my expensive crustacean. "I'm sorry, what?" I managed to sputter out. "It's totally normal nowadays," she continued, showing me articles on her phone. "It'll make our bond stronger." Spoiler alert, it did not make our bond stronger. Within weeks, Andrea transformed into a dating app queen. Tinder, Bumble, Hinge, you name it, she was on it. Her phone was buzzing more than a Best Buy on Black Friday. Meanwhile, I'm sitting there wondering how strengthening our bond involved her going on dates with half the city. But here's where it gets really interesting. One day, I'm at our country club's golf course, and guess who I see? Andrea, getting cozy with Tom from the board. The same Tom whose wife Susan organizes our annual charity gala. And that wasn't all. Turns out she was running her own Little The Bachelor franchise with 2 other married members. That's when I met Diane. Beautiful, intelligent Diane, who also happened to be the best divorce attorney in the state. Initially, I just wanted legal advice, but life has a funny way of working out. While Andrea was busy finding herself, Diane and I found each other. Meanwhile, Andrea's journey of self-discovery took some interesting turns. She managed to catch an STD that even WebMD had trouble identifying. And then came the pregnancy announcement, with a father more mysterious than the Da Vinci Code. So where are we now? Well, I'm happily married to Diane, and we're expecting our own little bundle of joy. We're planning a baby moon in Bora Bora. Yes, the same place Andrea always dreamed of going. Ironic, isn't it? As for Andrea, last I heard, she's busy trying to decode 23andMe results and has been banned from 3 dating apps, the country club membership, revoked faster than you can say, inappropriate hot tub behavior. You know what they say, karma doesn't need Wi-Fi to connect. Sometimes, the perfect life isn't about having multiple options. It's about appreciating what you have. If you enjoyed this relationship roller coaster, Smash that like button faster than Andrea swipes right on dating apps. Don't forget to subscribe for more wild stories. Next week, I'll tell you about how I caught my boss dating my mom. And yes, the company Christmas party was exactly as awkward as you're imagining. You know, people often say that marriage is all about compromise and understanding each other's quirks. But I'd like to think that Diane, my beautiful wife, and I have taken it to a whole new level. I mean, we're not just figuring out whose turn it is to do the dishes. We're having a full-blown adventure of our own. We're expecting a little bundle of joy, and I couldn't be more excited. I'm already envisioning us as the most perfect family in the world, with Bora Bora on our bucket list for our baby moon. Can you believe it? Andrea, the girl who always dreamed of going to Bora Bora, now can only dream of something else, like how to get back on dating apps without getting banned. Speaking of which, last I heard, Andrea is having the time of her life, deciphering her 23andMe results and trying to figure out her ancestral past. Who knows, maybe she'll discover that she's actually a direct descendant of a long line of mischief makers. On a more serious note, my boss has been acting strange lately. He's been flaunting his new girlfriend around the office, and I'm pretty sure I saw him whispering something to her during a meeting. What's even more amusing is that his new girlfriend looks eerily like my mom. I'm pretty sure this is the moment when I'm supposed to make a witty remark or a clever quip. But instead, I just want to scream, is this a joke? Karma has a way of catching up to you. And sometimes it's just about appreciating what you already have. Like my wife, who not only understands me, but also lets me get away with weird behaviors. Like when I tried to improve our couch and ended up with a permanent stain from a dubious mixture of glue and red wine. All joking aside, I know how easy it is to get caught up in the idea that there's someone better out there. But trust me, folks, it's usually just a myth. That perfect life you're searching for is often just a facade, artificial turf under the surface, with plenty of baggage waiting to be unleashed. In all seriousness, if you enjoyed this wacky ride, be sure to like and subscribe for more of these wild stories. Who knows, maybe next week I'll talk about how I accidentally turned my sister's prom into a game of musical dance chairs, or how I successfully managed to train my cat to do tricks using nothing but broccoli and bad singing. And to Andrea out there, just remember, if you ever decide to create a how not to guide for relationships, make sure to include the following chapter: getting banned from 3 dating apps in 3 weeks flat. Hit that notification bell. Unlike Andrea's life choices, this is one decision you won't regret. And remember, folks, sometimes the grass isn't greener on the other side. It's just artificial turf with a whole lot of baggage. Stay faithful, stay happy, and I'll see you in the next video.